Okay, we're going to look at problem number 1. I know they don't give you this formula, but it's really, since it's yearly, what they're assuming is that n equals 1. N equals 1 for both these cases. Okay, so this will be 1, and this will be 1. And it tells you that they invest $250, so $250 will go in there. And then the rate is 9% interest, so the rate will be 0.09. So when you plug this all in, you get P. I know they use A, but we'll use P. 250, 1 plus 0.09 over 1, so it doesn't really matter, to the 1. And then the time they give you is 15 years. So that's the equation. I'm going to show you how it should be on the calculator. Okay, so this is how it should look on the calculator, exactly like this. And if I hit enter, it turns out that the answer is going to be 911. So choice answer A on your homework. Let's look at problem 2, which is a similar question. It says how much money must be deposited in an account paying 8% interest. So I know that the rate is 8%. Compounded quarterly, so that tells me that n equals 4. And after 10 years, so that tells me t equals 10. And let's see, have a balance of 1,000. So I want 1,000 in the end. I don't know what p sub 0 is. So the equation looks like 1,000 equals p sub 0, which is what I'm looking for. 1 plus 0.08 over 4 to the n, which is 4 times t, which is that. Okay, if you work it out, you get 1,000 equals p sub 0, 1.02 to the 40th, okay, or 1,000 equals p sub 0, and this part, raised to the 40th, is about 2.208, or roughly that. And if you divide both sides by 2.208, okay, the answer for p sub 0, which is what we're looking for, should come out to be 452.89. Let's look at problem number 3, which asks you to graph this. Now, the main point I put this in there is I wanted you to recognize that the base was less than 1, so it's going to be decay. If you're not sure, what I would suggest is graph y equals 1/3 to the x, and then we're going to just shift it over. So if I graph that, I can plot a table of values, x, y. I'll just go with -1, 0, 1, and 2. 0, if I plug in, is always 1. 1/3 to the 1 is 1. 1/3 to the second is 1/9. 1/3 to the -1, we'll flip it, so it becomes 3. So essentially, you can see that the graph passes through 0, 1, and then it gets less and less, and somewhere up here, so it's going to be exponential decay, 0, 1. The original problem has a +5, so that tells me it's going to move 5 to the left. So what I would do to graph this is just move this point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is, and that point is now at -5, 1. Let's look at the next question. Question number 4 is asking you to plug this in. So I'm just going to show you how this should look on the calculator. Okay, it should look exactly like this. You don't need to close the parentheses, and if you enter, it's 12.553 or 12.554 if you round up. Next problem. The main thing here is this looks something like this. P sub 0 e to the RT. The main thing I'm looking for is at R. And if you want to know growth or decay, as long as R is positive, it's going to be growth. So this problem is going to be growth. If you don't believe me, you can graph it on the graphing calculator, and you can see that the graph looks like this, and it passes through 10.2, 0, 10.2. Okay. The next problem is similar. It's asking you, again, this looks like P sub 0 e to the RT. I'm just looking at R. If R is negative, it turns out that you can show that it's decay. So the answer there is decay. And if you're not sure, again, you can graph it, and you can see that it decays down, and that passes through 0.13, 13.7. Let's look at the next problem. Okay. Plugging in the numbers, you know that 8,000 is invested initially. E is just a number. The interest rate they give you is 11%, so that's 0.11. And then the time is 2 years, and I'm trying to figure out P. Here's how it's going to look on the calculator. Keep in mind that I put the whole thing in parentheses, and then if I hit enter, you get $9968.61.